Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. Israel launching major strikes against the Houthi rebels in Yemen, hitting their airport and main shipping port. But the Houthis are still promising more attacks on Israel. Amid all of this, President Donald Trump says the Houthis will no longer attack international shipping till the U.S. is ending its strikes against the rebels. The U.S. and China heading into potential trade talks as President Donald Trump's tariffs could be taking a major toll on the Chinese economy. And we're going to bring you a look at a new movie, The American Miracle, which explains the history of the U.S. in a way many people have never seen it before. All those stories and more right now on CBN NewsWatch.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
It's a busy Wednesday. We're going to begin in the Middle East, where Israel has launched devastating strikes against the Houthi rebels in Yemen. Still, the Houthis are promising more attacks on the Jewish state. Also on Tuesday, President Donald Trump announced the Houthis said they will stop attacking global shipping in the Red Sea, so the U.S. will end its strikes against the Houthis. CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell brings us the story, reporting from Jerusalem.
Trump made the stunning announcement during an Oval Office meeting.
The Houthis have announced that they are not, or they've announced to us at least, that they don't want to fight anymore. And we will honor that. And we will stop the bombings. And they have capitulated.
Oman, who helped negotiate the agreement, said the Houthis agreed to stop attacks on U.S. ships in the Red Sea. The Houthis, however, say they are, quote, evaluating the ceasefire proposal. The announcement appears to leave Israel on its own to defend itself against the Houthis. The Iranian-backed terror group says it will continue to attack Israel, warning they're going to hit the Jewish state so hard in coming days that all Israelis should stay in their bomb shelters. That threat comes after Israeli warplanes devastated the Houthis' main shipping port and its airport in attacks this week. Video showed airliners blown apart and buildings ablaze at the airport in Sana'a.
It is also the airport, as I understand it, that is highly strategic, through which arms are coming that are coming from Iran and other places that are used in these missile attacks on Israel.
The massive strike was retaliation for the Houthis hitting Israel's Ben Gurion airport with a missile Sunday.
I said that the Houthi attack would be answered, not with bang, and we're done, but with bangs.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned those bangs could soon hit the Houthis' main backer as well.
And this also concerns the patron of the Houthis, Iran, without whose approval and long-term support, the Houthis cannot carry out their criminal missile attack on us.
Israel's defense minister branded Tehran and its proxies the Iranian octopus as he threatened the regime.
You bear direct responsibility for every attack by the Houthi octopus arm against the state of Israel, and you will also bear the full consequences.
Iran claims the Houthis in Yemen are acting on their own.
All accusations against Iran in connection with what Yemenis are doing are baseless.
Meanwhile, President Trump is reiterating his desire to make a deal rather than bomb Iran to keep it from developing nukes.
This is really crunch time. I would tell you, for Iran and for their country, this is a very important time for Iran. This is the most important time in the history of Iran for Iran. And I hope they do what's right. But they can't have a nuclear weapon. And if they choose to go a different route, it's going to be a very sad thing. And it's something we don't want to have to do, but we have no choice. They're not going to have a nuclear weapon. They're not going to have a nuclear weapon.
And Chris Mitchell joins us now with more. Chris, President Trump says we have no choice. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It sounds as if he is willing to support a military strike on Iran's nuclear program if necessary. Is there concern in Israel we could see a bad deal with Iran, or does a strike on Iran seem possible?
Well, first of all, Ephraim, there's deep concern over here in Israel that there would be a bad deal. And what would be a bad deal? And that would be allowing Iran to keep its centrifuges, keep enriching uranium. What Israel wants is nothing less than total destruction of the nuclear infrastructure of Iran, so they won't be able to construct a nuclear weapon. So they're wary of Iranians, knowing their history of obfuscation and deception. On the other hand, does a strike seem possible? It's possible, but Israel wants to see what kind of a deal the U.S. may have struck or may be coming to a conclusion with Iran and what that deal looks like. It's possible, and this is the concern that Israel has, that it would put Netanyahu and the government in a dilemma. If the U.S. and Iran strike a deal, would striking and attacking Iran's nuclear sites, would it risk its relationship with President Trump and the White House? Or would they feel that Israel's survival is at risk and go ahead and strike Iran anywhere? They believe that there may be two camps in the White House, one that wants to launch a strike to hit Iran and the other one that wants to avoid a wider Middle East war. So it seems we'll find out presumably very soon what kind of a deal may or may not happen with the U.S. and Iran.
Chris, Israel launched devastating attacks against the Houthis yesterday, but the Houthis are still threatening Israel with more attacks. Is that a major concern?
Well, it's certainly a concern, Ephraim, right now. They also see, and that concern is tempered by what they see, how the Houthis have been hit, their port, their airport, but they're concerned about the agreement right now between the U.S. And the Houthis that doesn't include Israel. The Houthis, as we've said in our report, they're not giving up. And certainly the concern is what happened on Sunday would still be a possibility. In the last several weeks, Israel has hit 26 out of 27 ballistic missiles down, but that one did get through, and it was dangerously close to Israel's main airport. So there's certainly a concern, but tempered with the attacks that Israel and the U.S. have done in the last few days and last several weeks.
Chris, any idea what kind of attacks the Houthis might launch?
Well, ballistic missiles seems to be their main weapon to be able to reach Israel. Apparently, they don't have too many left. They can produce, reportedly, maybe 2 to 8 a week in underground tunnels. But that's probably seen their main attack would be ballistic missiles or drones. They've been able to hit a drone in Tel Aviv last year. But as I said, Sunday's attack could have been far worse, very close to the main terminal, but it seems ballistic missiles would be the main way that the Houthis could attack Israel.
Chris, are Israelis concerned about President Trump's announcement about no more U.S. strikes against the Houthis?
Definitely, yeah. They're concerned that this deal kind of leaves Israel out of the loop, and because of the U.S. and the Houthis striking this deal. Apparently, it was made without prior consultation with Israel. It raised some alarms in Jerusalem. Actually, surprised some people apparently about what happened, and so they were apparently not informed in advance, and it is a concern for Israel right now.
Israel is holding Iran responsible for the Houthis' action. Does that mean more possible Israeli strikes on Iran?
It does. And as I said, the military option is still on the table, but it remains to be seen exactly what kind of deal that Steve Witkoff and others may be negotiating with Iran right now. Israelis here believe the window is really open right now to attack Iran. They're vulnerable. The air defenses have been destroyed or degraded, while it is attempting to get closer and closer to a nuclear weapon. So they're looking at this window, and would it be able to close? I think a few months ago, when the Trump administration got in, I think people thought this was certainly the time that both the Israel and the U.S. Would be able to hit Iran's nuclear sites and destroy them. Right now, it's an uncertain time because of what the negotiations are going on between the U.S. and Iran.
President Trump also announced there are 21 remaining hostages alive. What's Israel saying to this?
Well, Israel's saying officially there are still 24, and the difference between the number is Israel is saying unless they can be, quote, definitively confirmed. Right now, we know there are 59 hostages remaining. Israel officially says 24, and it's possible that there are just 21, sadly. Last night, I was at a event for U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee, welcoming him to Israel. We had some testimonies by one released hostage hostages. His name was Omir. He spent 505 days in the tunnels, but he came out saying God was with him and he preserved him. On the other hand, we had testimony from parents of a man named Guy. He's still in captivity. Heart-wrenching testimony. That's why Israel's have been suffering since October 7th and why it's so important to be praying for the hostages.
Indeed it is. Our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell, thank you so much for your insights. We look forward to seeing you and hearing from you in the days ahead. Coming up, why China appears to be taking a big economic hit in its trade battles with the Trump administration as new talks are now set to begin. We're going to have the story for you when we come back. You are watching CBN NewsWatch.
Introducing a brand new way to start your morning. Get your daily quick start from CBN News. A quick read on the important news of the day delivered right to your inbox. Stay current on breaking news, politics, and entertainment. Discover how God is moving around the world and here at home. Plus, get exclusive stories and daily scripture encouragement just for you. Stay informed. Go to quickstart.news and subscribe today.
President Donald Trump says China now wants to negotiate tariffs, beginning another round of trade talks. This week, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Trade Representative Jamieson Greer will meet with Chinese leaders in Switzerland. It comes as 1 month after the president announced imposing tariffs of 145% on Chinese imports. CBN Capitol Hill correspondent Michelle London brings us the story now, reporting from Washington.
Beijing is now agreeing to trade negotiations with the U.S., quietly backing away from a tariff war.
Look, they're suffering greatly. Their economy is suffering greatly because they're not doing trade with the U.S. And they made most of their money off the U.S. Don't kid yourself.
During his Oval Office meeting with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney Tuesday, President Trump told reporters the Chinese are not doing business and ships full of goods from China are turning around in the Pacific Ocean.
It has to retreat. China is now increasingly in chaos.
Stephen Mosher is the president of the Population Research Institute. On CBN's Faith Nation, he said China has been quietly relaxing its tariffs on more than 130 types of American goods. Recent reports show huge piles of containers that missed the tariff deadline, still sitting in Chinese ports. Cargo bookings are down by almost 50%, and thousands of Chinese factory workers are laid off. At this rate, Mosher believes it will only get worse.
You're going to have, in the next couple of weeks, 10 million workers who've lost their jobs, who don't get severance pay. Some of them haven't been paid for months.
He predicts rising job losses will leave employees with no choice but to take to the streets in protest of Xi Jinping's government.
There's increasing unrest in China's cities. And, it's not just the factories that produce goods that sell to Americans that are shutting down.
This week, Beijing announced its latest offer to stop the flow of fentanyl into the U.S. in exchange for lowering tariffs. Mosher, however, strongly supports tariffs against China remaining in place.
Let's buy goods made in India or Mexico or the United States and reshore our supply lines here to our own country.
During that Oval Office meeting with Canada's Prime Minister, President Trump said he's not ready to drop tariffs on U.S.'s neighbor to the north. For his part, Mr. Carney, in response to months of Trump's rhetoric calling the country the 51st state, told the president Canada is not for sale. Michelle London, CBN News, Washington.
Here's a quick look right now at some other headlines in the news at this hour. India fired missiles into Pakistani-controlled territory in several locations early Wednesday, killing at least 26 people, including a child, in what Pakistan's leader called an act of war. It is the latest round of fighting since a deadly massacre in Kashmir, which is controlled by India, on April 22nd. The Supreme Court has allowed the Trump administration to enforce a ban on transgender people in the military, while legal challenges proceed. The policy disqualifies transgender people from military service. And in Rome, 133 cardinals gathered for Mass today in preparation for the start of a conclave to elect a successor to Pope Francis. The College of Cardinals will be sequestered inside the Vatican to pray, discern, and vote for the next pope without distraction. Still ahead, a remarkable journey through the history of America told in a new film in a new way. Many have never seen this before. We're going to bring you a look at the American miracle. The story's coming up right after this. Welcome back to CBN NewsWatch. The film The American Miracle takes us on a cinematic journey through some of the most important events in this country's history. I sat down with the creator of the film, along with the director, for a closer look.
I came to persuade you to avoid these dangers.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
So, Michael, as you're writing the book, The American Miracle, did you have in your mind's eye that it was going to be a movie?
No. We must find a path forward where they will have a future that's very different than their past.
It just seemed like an impossible project. And I am very thrilled that I met Tim, and we actually decided to do this thing.
He will become the founder of a mighty empire.
The basic theme of the book is a series of stories that are incredible and very unlikely. And they are all happy accidents, things that help the United States. But the theme of the book is that a pattern of happy accidents is still a pattern. And the pattern here is one that indicates, as it says with the film, our nation is no accident.
So, Tim, why do you sign on to do the impossible, if you will, turn this book into a film?
It was such an important story. And my films have always looked for evidence of God acting in history.
Yeah.
And Michael trusted me, and I was very thankful for that. And we really saw God's providence in the making of the film.
Speaking of God's providence, looking at history, not revealing too much of what people are going to see, share one or two providential moments that you've uncovered.
Oh, one of the stories that you see in the film is George Washington's first experience with battle. And he actually came very close to being killed. Washington had bullet holes in his cloak. He had 2 horses shot out from under him. George Washington surely has been raised up and protected by God to do a singular service to his country.
What was the challenge in making these stories and these providential moments come to life for you?
There's so much that most of us don't know about our history. And I think that's the thing that's very important in this film, is that this film is going to give the audience the basic understanding that they might not have gotten. And it leads us all the way through to the question of, is his presence in certain situations, and has he guided this nation with its founding, with these documents, the Constitution, to become something that no other nation had? And that's the beauty of what I think this film provides.
Whenever people talk about the good luck of America, how could it be that this series of colonies on the edge of the wilderness and the ocean on the other side, that those colonies would produce in one generation George Washington and John Adams and Alexander Hamilton and Benjamin Franklin and James Madison, and all of these titans, and they didn't believe it was an accident. Amazing story.
Done very well. Why is America a miracle?
Well, because it's illogical. And that kind of story, which was at the time embraced as an act of God, something that defies logic, that's the kind of story that we tell in the movie.
This film is really about identifying patterns of evidence of God acting in history. There's a higher authority, and I think that the film emphasizes the fact that in God we trust.
The fate of unborn millions now depends under God.
The American Miracle will be coming to theaters June 9th. Be sure to join us this evening for an all-new edition of Studio 5. We're sitting down with multi-Grammy award-winning artist CeCe Winans. She's talking about her upcoming international tour and her annual Mother's Day conference Generations Live. There's still time to get there. You can catch Studio 5 this evening on the CBN News Channel at 8 Eastern. You can also watch it on the CBN News app, or you can find it on YouTube. Coming up, some big news for fans of The Chosen. We're going to tell you when it is going to be streaming when we come back.
Download the CBN News app, 24/7 news from a Christian perspective at home or on the road. One place for all of your news. Breaking news alerts. Set daily prayer goals and pray for news stories. Read the most important news and watch CBN News Channel live. CBN News, because truth matters. Go to cbnnewsapp.com to get the app today. Introducing a brand new way to start your morning, the CBN News Quick Start Podcast. Each weekday morning at 7 a.m., get quick highlights of the day's important news. Then an in-depth analysis that goes beyond the headlines. Insights that matter to people of faith. Discover how God is moving around the world and here at home. Find the CBN News Quick Start Podcast on iTunes or wherever you enjoy listening to podcasts, because truth matters.
Season 5 of the hit series The Chosen makes its video debut on Prime June 15th. The Chosen, The Last Supper features 8 episodes and will be released in 3 parts over 3 weeks. The first 2 episodes will air on Sunday, June 15th. That is Father's Day. That'll be followed by 3 more on June 22nd and the last 3 on June 29th. Season 5 made its theatrical debut in March and April 11th internationally, grossing about $60 million and still counting. Time now for your Wednesday word, and today's word is faith. Know this, fear will knock at your door, but allow faith to answer. Don't be afraid, don't give in to fear, don't ignore the fear, simply give more attention to your faith. God has given it to us all. With that word, make this a wonderful Wednesday and allow your faith to work and to win. That will do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. You can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel. You can find them there at any time, as well as online, cbnnews.com. Take a moment, let us know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us, newswatch@cbn.com. We'll see you back here tomorrow.